Hello, welcome to Jessie at Home. This is Jessie. In this video, we are going to learn how to take the 6-petal flower and turn it into a hexagon. Okay, so this 6-petal flower I have shown you on another video, and now we're going to turn this into this hexagon. And there is then another video that will show you how to join these hexagons. But in this video, we're just going to show you how to turn this into this hexagon right here. Okay? So you can see I have the regular flower, I have the flower with the added center, and I have this flower that I was using as a coaster that's made out of all one strand of yarn. I haven't cut my yarn at all, and I still haven't cut it. I finished off the end of the petal without joining. I finished the last petal, the last double crochet of the last petal, and I have not joined. I've left it open. When I show you this, I'm going to show you how to continue the next round still without clipping your yarn. So this one is going to be a continuation of what we did in the other video where I'm showing you how to do this without cutting your yarn at all. By the time it's done, it'll have a beginning clip and an end clip and no clips in the middle. So if that's what you're looking for, that will be what this one will show you. So to start off, I just want to get you started with this one. And because I'm going to continue to add this to this little piece that I've started, I'm going to make my round 1, 2, 3. This is round 4 and 5 actually, which you use the same color for. My round 4 and 5, I'm going to use the same color that I've used in all of these, and my round 6, I'm going to use this darker color I've used in all of these. I do recommend making sure that you use a lighter color for round 4 and 5, because as you can see, it really pops out the separation of the petals if you use this lighter or brighter color. And I really like the way it looks where if round 4 and 5 is always done in the same color. Of course, it's entirely up to you. I'm showing you the design for how to make this. You can use your own imagination for the colors to use within it. The blanket I made for my daughter with this pattern, round 4 and 5, I used the same light color in all of them, but the round 6s were different in every single one. This one you can see I'm doing round 6 uniform in every single one. So let's get to it. Starting off the same as I had been starting off in the past. You can make a slip knot if you want, but what I've done is here is the end of my yarn still attached to my yarn skein. Here is my clipped end of my yarn. I'm taking the clip end from the back, wrapping it around the hook. Make sure you leave yourself enough of an end that you can weave in later. And that's how I'm starting. You can put a slip knot on your hook if you need to. Now, I want you to take a look at these petals. These petals are made up of 6 double crochets. So if we pull 3 in each direction, you can see this stitch. You can see that there's 2 loops on top of this stitch and the one little strand that falls underneath those 2 loops on top. We are inserting our hook underneath the top 2 loops, but still above that one little strand, okay? So you're just going into this stitch like you would normally go into a stitch, which is right here. But the best way to determine which stitch you're going into is to kind of look at 3 and 3 and find that little stitch that spans in between the 3 and the 3. So you're getting right centered in the middle of that petal. So now that I've pulled on my end and it's become short, right, we're going to just slip stitch into that stitch. There you go, slip stitch in. Now we're going to crochet 3 and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to make a double crochet, but we're actually going to make the double crochet all the way down into the chain 1 from round 2. Round 1, round 2, round 3. We are making our double crochet into the chain 1 from round 2. So we're going over top of the yarn used in round 3. So you see we're going to do the yarn over like you would normally do for a double crochet. Insert the hook in that chain 1 space. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I've made my double crochet and it's gone over top of the light blue and into the space in between the green. I'm now going to chain 3 and slip stitch in the middle of the next petal. So again, we have 3 and 3, this is the middle. Slip stitch, chain 3, double crochet over top of round 3 and into the chain 1 space of round 2. Chain 3, slip stitch in the middle of the petal. Eventually you get to the point where you can just eyeball it without having to pull things apart. Chain 3, double crochet over round 3, over the single crochet of round 3 and into the chain 1 space of round 2. I'm going to continue that all the way around until I make this last chain 3 that brings me back to the beginning again. Okay, as you can see, I've gone all the way around and I've finished this last chain 3 and I am at the point where I'm about to meet up with my first chain 3. And all we're going to do now to join is we're just going to slip stitch into that first chain 3. Now we're going to chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet. And then we're going to place 2 more double crochets in that same space. Going to chain 2, which is my corner, and place 3 more double crochet in this same chain 3 space. So this is my corner, and as this piece continues it's going to look a little bit more like a hexagon, but this is my corner, which consists of 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. And in this case we used a chain 3 to count as our first 3 double crochet because we were at the bottom when we needed to move up. Now we've done the corner, now we're doing a straight, the middle of this side, and so the middle of this side is just a plain old 3 double crochet. So the next chain 3 gets 3 double crochet in it. Now we need to do another corner, which is 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So that's what we're going to put into this chain 3. 1, 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, makes another corner. Now we've done a corner, so now we need the middle, which is a plain old 3 double crochet into the chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Let me show you one more corner and then we'll take another look at this. There's the chain 3, one more corner, which is 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, a chain 2, and then 3 more double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you can see how this is beginning to form our hexagon. We're going to continue. Chain 3, 3 double crochet, and then the 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, corner. Straight, corner, straight, corner, straight, which will meet up with our corner. So I'm going to go around and meet up with the corner. And here you see I've gone all the way around. So I've completed round 4 and round 5. And I am now going to clip my yarn, pull through the last stitch. I'm going to weave in my ends. So here is my, we'll actually start off with the clipped end. Alright, I'm going to weave that, thread that onto the yarn, onto the needle, and then I'm going to make this duplicate stitch. So this loop right here is coming out of this stitch. The loop I'm making now is going to come out of this stitch, which should attach next to the loop that comes out of this stitch. So essentially what I'm going to do is insert my needle from front to back to the loop I want to attach to, through the loop I want to attach to. Okay, and just take a look and make sure there's the right number of stitches. Here's a stitch that comes up with a loop that wraps around. Here's a stitch that comes up with now a loop that's going to wrap around. Here's a stitch that comes up with a loop that wraps around. Perfect. If I did this and this stitch either had 2 loops coming out of it, that would mean, if it had 2 loops coming out of it, that would mean I needed to move my stitch, this stitch over. If this stitch coming up had no loops coming out of it, and I had gone all the way over to here, I'd need to move this stitch over to the right. Okay, so you just want to make sure you have the right number of loops. And now that I've done that and it's in the correct place, I'm going to turn my work over and insert my hook. You see this is where the loop comes out. I'm going to insert my I keep saying that, my needle back in where the loop came out, kind of all the way down. Okay. And there you can see, look at that, every stitch has just 1 loop that comes out of it. And it's nice and neat. There's no strange things happening on top where I joined my yarn. And now I'm just going to weave in my ends, and as always I'm going through this way. And I can feel when I run this needle through, because it has a point, I can feel that I'm actually catching the chain that's inside all of these loops. I'm going through some of that yarn, and that's great because that means that I'm probably splitting some of the yarn in there, which is going to really help hold my woven ends in so they're not just kind of floating inside the open little tube in there. They're really attached to things so that they don't pull out. Trust me, I've had to undo some of my woven in ends because I've made a mistake. I've missed a stitch somewhere. It is not fun. And as much as it's not fun to do it, it makes me happy that it's not fun to do it because it means that my ends are really truly woven in, and as the item that I'm making is getting used, it's not going to fall apart on me. Okay? So now that I've done that, I'm just going to weave in the other end. And as I always tell you, don't weave them in. Don't weave both ends into the same spot. The only exception is the center. Other than that, don't weave both ends into the same spot or you'll get a chunkiness. So I'm going to weave this end in this direction. Okay? Start off that way, but I still need to have at least 2 direction changes. So there's my first one. And here is my second one. So now, there you have that. Clip your little ends. That's the back. Here is the front. Where was my, oh, there's my seam right there. See, that is my chain 3. Right here is my chain 3 that started this round, and it took me a minute to figure out where it was. Now I want to show you how to start your round 4 if you did not clip your yarn at the end of round 3. So at the end of round 3, we did the last 6 double crochet for this petal. And now I need to get it to the point where this petal is attached down here, but my yarn needs to be coming out from up here, okay, in the middle of this petal to start round 4, right? So, I'll put my hook back in, and the first thing I'm going to do is slip stitch into this chain 1 space, kind of going right over top of the previous slip stitch. Okay? And now we have, this is the stitch I want to be coming out of, but in order to get there I need to first go through this stitch and this stitch with a slip stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through to make a slip stitch. Go into the next one, insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. One more, insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. And what I've done is I've worked my way up to the point of that petal. Let me show you that one more time, and then if you need to see it again, you can always rewind. Okay. Insert the hook into the chain 1 space and make a slip stitch. And now slip stitch in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Double check and make sure there are 3 stitches on this side and 3 stitches on this side. 3 double crochets on each side. That means you're in the right place. And now you just go with your chain 3 and then your double crochet over top of round 3 and into the chain 1 space of round 2, your chain 3 and your slip stitch in the middle of the top of the petal, and so on all the way around. And then you continue with round 5 the same way that you continued with round 5 here, because of course we didn't clip our thread between round 4 and round 5 on this one either. Okay? So we're going to do that, and then we'll talk about the very last round, round 6. Okay, now it is time to start round 6 on this hexagon. Now, round 6, I am starting in the same place as I would start if I were just either joining with the same color, like I'm going to show you on this piece, or if I had left the loop open after if I had ended round 5 by slip stitching to join the round and then left the loop on my hook and just added the new color on there. I'm going to start this round in the same place as I would start if I had done that, just to make life a little easier for the people who choose that option. So if you're not choosing that option and you're just starting with this basically finished looking piece, what you want to do is you want to find one of your corners and you want to count back 2 stitches, 1, 2, and that is where you are going to place your first stitch. Okay, right there. 1, 2, that's where you're placing your first stitch. So let me show you how to get going with that. I'm going to start the same way I've started before, wrapping my yarn around my hook. You can make a slip stitch if you want to. And now we're actually going to make a standing double crochet. If we were just starting with a loop, we'd have a loop right here, and I'll show you on the other piece. We would chain 3 and that would count as our first double crochet. But since we aren't already attached down here, we don't need to do that. So we're going to make a standing double crochet by putting this loop back on our hook, slip stitch if you want, or slip knot if you want, and yarn over just like if you were starting a double crochet. You'd have the regular loop on your hook and then you would yarn over. And now again we're going to go, here's a corner piece, we're going to go 1, 2, and that's where we're inserting our hook, and we're just going to make a double crochet. So you yarn over and you pull through, yarn over, you pull through 2, you yarn over and you pull through 2. And that's your standing double crochet. Now we're going to double crochet into the next stitch, and now that's moved us to the corner. And in this corner we are going to place a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet to make our new corner. Double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Now we're going to double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Then we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip 1 because we chained 1, so we're also skipping 1, and we're going to place a double crochet in each of the next 3. Skip 1, 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 1 and skip 1 again. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next 2, because that will bring us to the corner. 1, 2, and you see we've made it back to another corner. So now we're going to double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into this corner. Double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into that corner. Now we're going to double crochet in each of the next 2. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to skip 1. And we're going to double crochet into each of the next 3. Going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next 2, and that will bring me to the corner. And then in the corner we'll do a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet to finish off that corner. And we're going to keep doing this all the way around. You can see how it's added on an extra round. We keep the hexagon look, and it's made these granny, you know, your traditional granny shape of the 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1. We have that now. So let's talk about how to do that in this version. We finished off round 3, and now we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 oopsie, the top of the chain 3. Oh my goodness, I'm suddenly incapable of making a slip stitch. Okay. Alright, now we're chaining 3 to count as our first double crochet. That counts as the first one. Now we need one more. And now we're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into the corner. Now we're going to double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next 3. And you're getting the idea here. This is the same. Now at this point it's the same as we did the other one. And you're going to work all the way around until you get back to here. So here you can see I've completed round 6, and it doesn't matter which version you're making, if you're changing color every single round, or if you're doing it like this where you're using the same color all the way around. At this point you're done. Okay? So you want to fasten it off. And to do that, of course, first you need to clip the end of your yarn. How lucky was I? I had just enough. Clip the end of your yarn. We have made our very last chain stitch. Okay, we did the double crochet 3, the chain 1, and then we got back to this first chain 3, which counted as our first double crochet. You can always slip stitch to the top and then pull through and finish off that way. But as I've shown you with the other rounds on the one that changes colors, I want to show you how to do a duplicate stitch on the top so that it just looks a little prettier. Pinch your chain stitch. Okay, pinch your chain stitch so you don't accidentally pull it too tight, and then just pull out the clipped thread, clipped yarn. You could do this in thread with a smaller hook. It might be really pretty. Okay, and put your yarn through your needle. And now we're going to do the duplicate stitch. Okay, so we did our chain, and we're going to do the duplicate stitch over top of the chain 3 that counted as our first double crochet. So we're going to go in right here. Okay, so again, here's our chain 3 that counts as our first double crochet, and we're going to insert our hook, our needle, every single time. Our needle right there. You want to try to make sure it's on top of the loop you're copying. And now you can see that we have the yarn coming out of here, wrapping around, but then it doesn't go back down again. So we need to go back down again. Okay, and then you need to get this little strand. You see how there's that little strand that comes back down and goes into the previous stitch, which means you need to now take your yarn and go back into here. So let me show you that one more time. We have wrapped our yarn around this loop in order to copy that stitch, and now we're going to turn it over. We're going to thread our yarn through the chain 3 that started this round. Alright, start from the top and pull it down through. Things get a little tough with the cotton yarn sometimes, but there you have it. Now you need to weave in your ends And again, as always, I recommend changing directions twice. I really think with this particular yarn I should have used a smaller hook. See how big all my stitches are? I would certainly recommend using a smaller hook with this particular yarn. Or maybe just working a little tighter or whatever floats your boat. Okay, I kind of split my yarn there. You see how I split the yarn right there? In a way that it didn't want to pull through. Sometimes you can just kind of turn it around. Turn your needle around and kind of release it from the split. Okay. And one more direction change. Again, make sure you don't push your hook, your needle back through the same spot. Make sure you're catching a different spot. Cotton yarn is definitely harder to do the weaving in because it kind of grabs itself a little differently than the Heartland yarn. All yarns are going to, your different content, fiber contents and everything are going to react differently. So there you have this completed hexagon. Okay, and you can see how the difference in size. I used the same size hook, but the different yarn made a different size, and also it grabs your hook differently. Everything works kind of differently together. So you can see, look at that huge difference. I used the same hook, it's just the difference in the yarn that made that change. Alright, there is another video that will explain the join as you go technique. And so when you do round 6, you'll do the join as you go technique, which you can learn in that video. For something like this cotton piece, this is a little big in my mind to be a coaster. You could use this as a dishcloth. It is cotton if you wanted to. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to actually machine stitch it right here onto a piece of felt and then clip the felt just like 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. And I think I'm going to use this as a trivet to put, like, your hot pots of food or whatever onto. So I think that might be what I'm going to do with this one.